back to my channel. My name is Novia and this is my update for weeks 6 and 7 of my pregnancy. And real quick, I'm just gonna touch up my makeup, so I will fast forward through all of this. Makeup is done, hair is down, a little messy, but I think it's better. I wonder if I should turn the light off behind me or not. I don't know if that helped or made it worse, but anyways, so let's get started. This is for weeks 6 and 7. So week 6 was a very hard week. I was finishing a job working for a management company here in town. I finished my 2nd week there. My last day was on a Sunday. I think I found out I was pregnant my 2nd week there. I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I think part of my problem was that the hormones from being pregnant, I just couldn't handle like dealing with people that were not on top of their stuff. And not to say like, I mean, I'm not working right now, but like my expectations at that job were a little bit higher, and if I was going to do a job, I wanted to make sure that I was doing it good, and I didn't feel like I was trained properly. And the girl that was in charge was not doing her job right when her boss was not in the office, and she wasn't in the office because she had to help out at another location. She was just very careless, not as professional as she should have been, or reliable and dependable as she should have been, which made things a little bit frustrating. And I talked with other coworkers about these issues, and we all agreed on like the problems that we had with her and our thoughts about her. My last straw was on my last day, which was a Sunday, and I quit. I sent my boss, not the one that was there, but her boss, an email quitting, letting her know the issues that I noticed in the office and why I felt really frustrated and I was leaving. And she asked me if I wanted to sit down and have a conversation about it, that she didn't want me to go, and that she would be willing to you know, sit down and go over all these things. And I was just like, you know, I appreciate it, but I just don't think this is working out. And anyway, so then I started a job at Domino's Pizza, being a delivery person, because I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like it's going to require that much of me right now. I'm not feeling that great mentally. I'm not feeling that great. And so I thought I was going to be able to do it, but I was working night shifts. So I would go in at like anywhere from like 6 until it could be till like 2 a.m. And the first shift that I actually ended up working until 2 a.m., I just had like a total breakdown after I delivered one of the pizzas. I had been feeling sick. Like in my 6th week, I started getting really nauseous and car sick. The nauseousness and stuff was not only when I was in a car, but it was like extreme when I was driving. Like I had to like sit in my car and like take really deep breaths and blow out, like expand my cheeks like that, so that I didn't throw up. And so that was really hard and frustrating. So after I delivered a pizza, there were just like things going on in my life, and like on top of that, being pregnant and not feeling like myself and just feeling really unwell. I just sat in my car and I cried and I cried and I cried for probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And I was like, I cannot go back to work like this. Like my face was so puffy and bloodshot, and I just looked like a crazy person, and I couldn't keep delivering pizzas like that. I wanted to barf. Like pizzas were grossing me out, and I still don't even want to think about pizzas. I quit, and I was like, I need to go home. I kind of was thinking I was gonna go back, but then I got home and I was like, I can't go back. And I haven't been working since then. Mostly because weeks 6 and 7 were just so awful. So I quit my job. I was really nauseous, really dizzy. and I was experiencing, like, I had had sore boobs and like nipples since I found out that I was pregnant. In week 6 it was a lot worse. They were already sensitive to the touch and kind of just felt like uncomfortable to touch, but in week 6 I was getting like sharp shooting pains in my nipple. Like it felt like someone was stabbing me with needles. And I would get it like in my nipple and like on the side of my boob. And my bras were already too small for me, and I don't wear like regular bras, I wear bralettes, and so like I had a size large and I already couldn't fit into those. Not that my boobs were like falling out of them or anything, but they were just like too tight around my bust and it was really uncomfortable. So since then I have bought a maternity bra, but I only wear that when I absolutely need to wear a bra with like certain shirts, or else I just wear like those spandex material like tank top bras, which is sort of like what I have on now. It's like this material and it's not quite as long, but the other ones go well past my boobs, like up just right above my ribs or like a little below them. So they're like way more comfortable. I have way more room. Not as supportive, but I don't really need that much support, and they feel so much better. And on top of that, I was feeling extremely depressed. I pretty much started having like severe mood swings and just like total emotional like breakdowns since I found out that I was pregnant. Just totally irrational about things. The things I was getting mad about were like so silly, and I think they had deeper rooted reasons as to why, but on the surface it was like I was being very crazy. And it was like frustrating for me as well as other people, but I think to me especially because, you know, people were, you know, pointing it out and I just felt like out of control. And so it just felt really frustrating and unfair, and like nobody was understanding me or understanding where I'm coming from. And like, I mean, I know they don't know what's going on with me and I don't really know what's going on with me, but I knew that I didn't feel normal. And so that was a huge thing throughout weeks 6 and 7, and just feeling extremely like alone and misunderstood and just kind of, I don't know, like neglected. I just felt truly like so alone, and everybody would just like try to be encouraging and I would just be like, no, like I'm not okay, like I'm telling you I'm not okay. And they'd be like, oh, it's gonna be fine, like, you know, circumstances change, or like things are gonna be better, or like just like, I mean, just trying their best to be supportive, but I'm like literally saying like something is wrong with me, like I'm not okay. And it just felt like no one was listening. And so I was crying non-stop. I didn't leave my bed or the couch. And when I did, I think it was just to go see my friend once. And I just felt totally like not myself. And so everything just honestly sucked. I also started to feel, I wouldn't say suicidal, because I didn't want to die. It was more just like thoughts of death, I guess, and just like thinking about the fact that being dead in my mind at the time just seemed like it would make things easier, you know, to not have to experience like the hardships of going through this pregnancy and feeling alone and misunderstood and like overly emotional and hormonal. I was kind of having thoughts of like, okay, if I just had a miscarriage, like this would be so much easier, or like I wish I had never gotten pregnant, or like I regret having this baby. It was just really like dark. And then I would sit there and have these feelings of like regret and guilt about even thinking those things, because I knew that that's not really what I wanted. I wanted this baby. Before I really started feeling hormonal and like crazy, I was like excited about this, but just like the stresses of life and like my own mental state were just kind of like really eating away at me. I was having those thoughts, and then I would sit there and like cry in my bed and just feel like totally awful, or cry in the shower and like touch my stomach and like apologize to my like barely growing baby and just be like, you know, like I don't actually want you to die. I don't want to have a miscarriage. Like, I love you so much. Like, I would be so sad if anything happened. Like, of course I'd feel so guilty if something did happen after having those thoughts. And so it was just really complicated, and I knew that what I was feeling was not normal. And on top of that, I just didn't feel very supported. My boyfriend was not being helpful emotionally, like also just calling me crazy. You know, my mom was calling me crazy. Like, everybody was being everything except helpful. And so I ended up calling a therapist and figuring out a place that I could go to. So I set up an appointment, and that was for my birthday. I think that was 2 weeks from when I called. Yeah, because I had my first therapy appointment at 8 weeks. So anyways, yeah, so that was all for week 6. Week 7 came around, and I was still super emotional and depressed. Everything was still very frustrating. Still feeling very misunderstood. I stayed in bed all week, but I did have my first therapy appointment, and that was very encouraging. But it was still, you know, it was just the first appointment, so I just talked about things. We kind of went over the possibility of prenatal depression and severe depressive disorder, but I didn't get a diagnosis, obviously, because that was my first appointment, and you're supposed to take it slow. I felt like, okay, so I'm not crazy. You know, I know other people in my life don't really understand what I'm going through, but this therapist made me feel a lot better. Just let me know that I do have a lot going on in my life, and those things are stressful, and on top of that, I'm pregnant, and so yeah, just reassuring me. And then I had my first OB appointment, which was exciting because it was just nice in the middle of feeling all of these negative things to go and see a doctor and just have the experience feel a little bit more real. I had my first PAP done with them, and she checked my cervix and said that it was nice and tilted and closed, so I know that's a good sign just from being like a birth doula and stuff. That made me excited. And then she felt my uterus and said that it felt nice, and she made the comment that it was enlarged. I didn't think anything of it. Obviously I talk about that in my weeks 8 to 9 video. So I was like, oh cool, so like that's a good sign too, because like that means there's a baby in there and it's growing. I then got my blood work done, and everything just felt like really nice and normal after that, as far as like my pregnancy was like real and happening. And I was still feeling really sick in the morning, and I think that had to do with the fact that I was going a long period of time without eating, because I was going to sleep and waking up between 10 and 12, and then just like not getting out of bed because I didn't feel good, but then I also didn't feel good because I wasn't eating. So it was just like this vicious cycle. I think probably added to like just wanting to stay in bed and sleep and not go anywhere and being depressed. So yeah, I think that's it for week 6 and 7. So thank you for watching this video. I'm sorry I probably seem like I'm not very happy in this video. I just don't feel good right now. But like I said in my week 8 to 9 video, I will be updating soon. Stay tuned, stick around. I really appreciate anybody who watches these all the way through. If you feel inclined to do so or just want to support me, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel to follow along, and I appreciate it so much.